You know, you can have a triple play package here with several different companies. It's about 35 euros a month.
It is.
Ask any American what that costs. Everybody's really happy there. You know how the Parisians can be really sour and unhappy and, you know, short with you? The Niçois, they're just so happy. It's a lot of sunshine. I mean, I have New Yorkers who, they don't want to be in the country because they need the noise of the street to feel connected.
Are Parisian drivers scarier than French notaires?
Oh, I don't fear either one of them.
What does it take to pack your life and move to France? Today, I'm joined by Adrian, who's been living and helping Americans for a couple decades now, make this dream come true.
3 to be exact.
Oh, wow. Even more. So you might even know her. It's one of the most famous, well, I'd say expats, but I should say immigrants by now in France, because you've also been on House Hunters International for the American audience. They might have seen you there. So Adrian, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Fabien. It's a pleasure to be here.
So we're going to start because I think, in one sentence, this is something we've talked a lot about, and you probably have this conversation every day. Why should people move to France now rather than later or one day?
Well, first of all, you must be in the present moment. I mean, living in the present moment is the single most important thing you can do in your life. So why not now?
Good one.
I would ask. In today's world, though, right now the rate of exchange isn't too terrible. It's about $1.16, $1.17 to the euro, so it's not as bad as it's been in the past. And of course, you could consider what's going on in the United States, where a lot of people are very unhappy with what's happening there. But I don't think that's really a reason to come to France. I think the reason to come to France is because you're going to have a much better life here, a much higher quality of life for half the cost of living in the United States. And especially for retirees, they can really make their Social Security and their retirement budget, spread a lot further, but they can have a life that they can't really have in the U.S. And the reason for that is because they live in their bubble in the United States, in their car. I mean, the only city that has really great public transportation where you can live without a car effectively is New York.
Okay.
After that, Americans live in the suburbs. So they go from their house to their car to the supermarket or their restaurant or visiting with their friends, and they get back in their car and they go back to their home, and they live in this bubble. So as they get older and maybe they can't drive, they end up in retirement communities instead of living in a place where they can really enjoy being out, being with the public, having friends, doing things until the day they die because they have access to everything without a car.
Right. No, it's interesting because to me that was a bit of a cliche. I didn't know if it was true. Like the Americans would live, like you were saying, in their bubble, and okay. So I suppose you
probably weren't expecting that answer, is my guess.
But that's an interesting angle, and well, I've heard that already from other sources as well. So I think it has legs.
Okay, but it's certainly not the only reason. I mean, France has the #1 health care system in the world for the least amount of cost, which is amazing. The U.S. can't even come close to it. I find that healthcare here is about 1/10 the cost of the U.S., and the care is excellent. So there's no issue with that. If you're in the center of Europe, which we are, you have access to all of Europe and beyond by being here, which you can't do from the U.S.
It's very well connected. France is indeed very well connected.
Especially from Paris or from Nice or any city that has an international airport. So the ability to really have an amazing life. And culturally, I mean, the only city that has more museums than Paris is London. And I don't recommend going to the UK.
Well, they left the EU now, so.
Exactly. They're not even part of the EU. But no, there's a long list of reasons to be here.
And it's interesting because, well, obviously you're American, but you know a lot about France as well because you moved in the 90s. So yeah, a couple of years ago.
Yeah, just a few.
And you created the Adrian Leeds group. You're in real estate, amongst other things, and so well, you know about real estate in France and this process. What do Americans go wrong usually when they think about like buying a property or stuff like this? What is culturally very different here?
Oh, the number one thing is the MLS, the multiple listing service in the United States. Every property goes on the market at the same time, so everyone has access to that same property at that moment. All the agents, all the buyers, everyone.
There's no exclusivity or something like that? Oh.
Well, that's different. That's a different question. Okay. But the idea is that you can go to one real estate agent and have access to everything. So the agents, in effect, work more for the buyer than the seller because they automatically assume they're going to share their commissions with the selling agent.
Okay.
That doesn't exist here. It's the reason I exist.
It's funny because that's a question I'm being asked a lot.
Right.
And initially I was like, what is that thing? The MLS, so obviously it didn't make sense to me because I'm French.
Right, and because it doesn't exist
exactly,
here. So to buy a property here, you literally have to go to every agency. And every agency only wants to sell its little pocket of properties. And that means that the agents work for the seller, not the buyer. And they're not going to tell you what's going to deter you from buying that property. They're only going to tell you the best parts of it. So if you don't ask the right questions, you're not going to get the right answers.
Right. Yeah. Right.
That's the number one biggest difference.
There's a myth that obviously we're in Paris today, and there's a myth about like Paris is only for the ultra rich, and it's always a bad investment. Those are the things that I've heard. What would you say about that?
It's the complete opposite. It's the complete opposite of that. Paris is absolutely a non-risk investment. I mean, if you buy in a good location, a good piece of property in Paris, you cannot really go wrong. There have been a few years where the market's been a little soft, like between COVID and now. But now we're seeing the prices come up again. But it's not a volatile market. It remains pretty stable. And,
well, correct me if I'm wrong, but also the French real estate market is very different from the American one. There's no like, prices go up and then they collapse, and, like usually they're either going up or they just remain kind of steady, but...
That's right, and there's several reasons for that. And that's because the system in the U.S. actually creates bubbles. So it's easier for properties to... The pendulum can swing on the price on a property very easily. And here it's a lot safer. But the carrying costs of a property in France are so low. The annual property taxes are so low. The utilities costs are so low. The insurance is so low that, no, this is the best place in the world to own a property.
Like you were saying, it's basically like you knock off a zero. It's like a tenth of the price very often, isn't it?
What is?
Well, like the things you're saying, like utilities, the property tax.
Oh, I could give you a list all day long. I mean, just looking at the cost of internet, TV, and telephone, you can have a triple play package here with several different companies. It's about 35 euros a month.
It is.
Ask any American what that costs.
That's a good question.
Minimum $200 a month, minimum. So that's a little example. I have a homeowner insurance policy I just took out on one of my apartments for 20 euros a month.
Yeah.
I mean, where do you find that?
Right. Well, I don't know about American pricing, but yeah, it sounds like it's
no. And property taxes are absolutely a tenth. Okay. Absolutely. I mean, my property here in Paris, my apartment, which is a 2-bedroom apartment, my annual property tax is under 1,000 euros a year. If that property existed in California, it would be $12,500 a year dollars. But still.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds a lot more indeed.
Okay.
Well, France is also infamous about its admin, for the good and
the bad.
Yeah, it goes both ways. But there are usually admin in France. I mean, it's made to protect customers and, let's say, for example, in real estate, the buyer. Is there, for example, an admin quirk that, for example, you would have in mind that protects the buyer, in France a lot better than it does in the US. It could be with the notaire,
Oh, quite a lot. But there are two that I can think of off the top of my head. One of them is that the seller is morally obligated to accept asking price. So there are no bidding wars. In the U.S., they will start at a low price in order to encourage bidding wars, and that leads to these bubbles and properties becoming inflated, right? So that doesn't happen here. The other thing is there's a 10-day cooling off period. So when you sign a pre-sale agreement here, you still have another 10 days to retract your purchase with no ramifications. That's a big deal.
Yeah, no, it protects. Yeah, no, right.
Yeah.
And indeed, it's, well, generally speaking, like if we step out of the real estate industry, a lot of admin stuff in France are made to kind of protect the buyers or the clients, or it's very consumer centric.
Listen, it doesn't always work to the consumer's advantage.
Not
okay?
always, but yeah.
Okay, because, for example, the laws on location, rentals, really protect the tenant. But the landlord ends up getting screwed. And so the landlord has to protect himself. So he ends up creating situations that actually adversely affect the tenant. So there are times I'd like the seesaw to be a little better balanced, because so that both parties win. I'd like to see that, but generally it is definitely true. France protects the consumer.
Actually, is there one of the top mistakes that you'd see Americans make when budgeting, in France? I'm thinking about things like, I don't know, notary fees, but that could be other stuff. What are the things that are very often or typically would under budget usually?
Okay, when we're working with a client, we outline all the fees they can expect. And they know that they're going to have about 8% in notarial taxes and fees. Okay, so they'll expect all of that. But I think what really gets them in the pocketbook is renovation. Because, I hear it all the time. I'm just going to redo the bathroom. And I go, you touch the bathroom, you're touching everything. Before you know it, the whole apartment's getting completely redone, plumbing, electricity, you name it. And then, of course, they're going to make choices on materials and things that might be more expensive than they were thinking to begin with. And before you know it, it's twice the price and twice the time.
So renovations is kind of the pitfall that sometimes they could fall into because they think it's easy and cheap.
Well, that is if they've been talking to the wrong people. The thing is, though, that I still encourage buying a wreck and renovating. Because if you buy something that needs renovation, then you've purchased it at a lower price. So your notarial taxes and fees and your agency commissions and all of that are lower. So you can take what you saved there and put it into the reno. Then you get to do exactly what you want. And we have amazing contacts, amazing teams that do beautiful work. And then you get exactly what you want.
Well, yeah, it's probably a good advice, but then I suppose they need to be mindful of, so in that context, what would be your advice if they're considering, well, let's say a ruin, maybe not exactly a ruin, but something in bad shape.
I call them a wreck.
A wreck, let's say a wreck. What would be the red flags or the checklist, to be very mindful about? Because like everything, there's probably some to be aware of.
You mean when you're looking at properties, what are you really...
To be renovated, so those wrecks.
Right. Okay, so it's always the basics. It's the plumbing and electricity. Whether the windows need to be replaced, which is more than likely going to happen, and windows are expensive. You have to be careful, of course, not to disturb supporting walls without permission. So there's certain permissions you need from the homeowner association, the syndic, things like that. But I'm a renovator. Okay, I can't bear to not have everything perfect. So I like to renovate and start from scratch.
No, but that's good to know, because again, this is a different country. This is a different set of rules, different expectations on both ends of the spectrum. Because, well, in a way, they're coming with an American mindset, and like the sellers, the artisan, the builders, and everyone is going to be French with the French. Like for example, one thing that like all artisan, all builders need to have a 10 years insurance in France. It's mandatory. Even a painter
Right, that's right. Well, okay, painting.
Like, yeah.
Let's just take painting. I love it when my clients say, oh, we're just going to put on a fresh coat of paint. And they're thinking drywall. They're thinking rolling on drywall, and it's not going to cost much. They don't realize this is plaster, and it needs to be sanded and cured, and it's a whole nother ballgame. And it costs a lot more money to repaint here than it does there.
Exactly, and that's why I was kind of touching base on this, especially if you hire builders, even for some minor stuff, it might actually cost a lot, because if they need to be insured and if there is a permit to be requested or required, or, you know.
And I'll tell you what else, delivery. If you're in Paris,
oh yeah, right.
you have to assume there are going to be delivery costs.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, oh yeah, and you don't think about those things, because in the U.S., the truck just pulls up the driveway. It's simple.
Indirectly, then we can lean into this other question I wanted to ask you about. Well, you also live in Nice. You live in
I do.
both
Half
places,
and half, half and half.
which is obviously very different from Paris. Why? Why do you like Nice? Why would you recommend this city, for example?
Oh, Nice is a jewel. When I first bought an apartment in Nice, it was 2011, and I really didn't have a clue whether I was going to like it or not. I really didn't.
Okay, that was a leap of faith.
Well, it was an intellectual decision based on having an investment property. It was a property I wanted to rent out and generate a revenue. It was a vacation home. It was a potential retirement home. And I thought there might be room for some business to be had in Nice at the same time. So in order to do that, you just have to be on the ground. That's all there is to it. Nice is, first of all, I've watched it blossom, thanks to the mayor, Christian Estrosi, who's determined to make it the greenest spot in all of France. And he's doing an amazing job of that. I mean, he really is. He's turned that city into an absolute jewel. It has fabulous public transportation. It has an international airport. It has really good health care. You're right. I mean, you're at the heart of the Riviera. It's beautiful. You know, it's gorgeous. The Med's fabulous. It's about half the price of Paris from a real estate point of view. So, you know, the cost of property is about half.
Oh, I didn't know that was this cheap. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, cheap. Well,
you know what?
cheap, yeah.
This is interesting because most people just assume, well, it's the Riviera. It's going to be expensive. But it's not. It's really reasonable because it's the hub of the other enclaves that can be more expensive, like Villefranche, like Cannes, like, you know, like the other tiny little enclaves along the Riviera. But it's really a vibrant city, and there's a lot going on there, and the public transportation's really good. You can walk from one end of town to the other in 30 minutes. The prom is always there. It's always beautiful. And the moment I arrive, I feel relaxed.
Right. Well, this is the South.
Well, I'll tell you what. Yeah, but I'm not relaxed because I'm working my buns off. But everybody's really happy there. You know how the Parisians can be really sour and unhappy and, you know, short with you? The Niçois, they're just so happy. It's a lot of sunshine and the day is great, and they're used to having tourists from all over the world, and so all is good. It's really a different experience.
It's funny you say this because I used to live and work there, and I remember going. It was kind of a protected facility, so they had, like, you know, gateways, and they were checking you at the gate and stuff. And well, it took a few minutes, but, you know, I was like, I was there for work, so I was kind of
where was this at the airport?
No, I was working for the military then, but and I was a bit in a rush, and it was like, oh well, we're in the South, and I was
like relax.
And I'm like, yeah, well, I'm from the Basque Country. He's like, well, so you shouldn't be in a hurry. So that's exactly the mindset.
I heard that there was a study done recently, and I don't have anything to back this up, but I was told that in the South, those are the happiest workers in all of France.
But, well, that would not surprise me. But like you were saying, it's more like a gut feeling. But yes.
Yeah. And, you know, there's the Mediterranean diets. You've got a lot of fresh seafood and things like that, and the sunshine. And it's the best weather in all of France. It's a little microclimate, so it's not the hottest in the summer. It's actually can be the coolest.
And unlike like Marseille and all the places, there's not the Mistral, so that's not as windy as...
Oh, it can get windy.
Yeah, but
it
it's not as bad as
can get stormy,
Marseille.
but no. No. It's particularly delightful. Our business now is we're doing double the business in Nice than Paris. It's
Well, and it looks like
really
California.
shifted. Well, the Californians, it's funny because the Californians, they have beach all the time, so they don't quite care as much about the beach.
There's no way, right?
Yeah. They're not, but they're also used to having nice weather and not all that gray of Paris. So,
Yeah, that's why.
Yeah.
Nice is a good fit. Okay, so I think I should go for the quick fire round of questions. I like this one. I love it. These very quick questions.
Is this like okay, this is like a Rorschach
Yeah,
test.
exactly. Café crème or espresso?
Espresso.
Okay. Well, this one's difficult. Haussmann apartment or villa in Provence?
House buying an apartment.
What's the most overrated cliché? Beret or baguette?
Oh, that's hard for me. I'm sorry, because I usually wear a beret. Probably beret.
Yeah, so you're walking with...
I hate to admit it, but maybe beret.
You have a very flashy turquoise, gorgeous
Beret?
beret, so yeah.
Oh, I have every color beret in the...
Actually, have you ever told a client you're not ready for Paris?
Not exactly. It's not about being ready for Paris, but I've definitely told clients that Paris is not necessarily a good fit.
For them.
Yeah, but it's not about being ready for Paris. I mean, Paris is urban. You have to, you have to like urbanity. You have to not mind noise on the street.
Yeah, living in a city.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I have New Yorkers who they don't want to be in the country because they need the noise of the street to feel connected.
Right.
But then there are others that really don't want to, they don't want to hear the jackhammers and whatever.
So I'm going to be cheeky now.
Okay.
Trick question. So wine o'clock, also known as the apéro, happens at which time?
6 o'clock.
Well, yeah. So you're in France.
Of course.
Well, I know I could try you because
It's after work and before dinner.
it is.
Okay.
So, well, this one is for you. So, are Parisian drivers scarier than French notaires?
Oh, I don't fear either one of them. I mean, there's nothing to fear. You mean a taxi or Uber driver? Have you ever feared a taxi or Uber driver? No.
No. Yeah.
No, they're fascinating. You can have the most amazing conversations with taxi drivers
right.
here because they are well educated, okay, and intelligent. They're not necessarily driving a taxi because it's the only thing they can do,
And they have a wealth
Kind
of
of like
anecdotes.
a waiter.
Yeah.
right?
Okay, so one last
so-
one.
Sorry.
Are you rather a la bise person or still hugging? Because
Oh, bees.
yeah, we did la bise when you're right. You're right.
Of course.
I can vouch for that.
Okay, but that depends on whether you do 2 or 3, right? Depends on where you are.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're not that fanatics.
Okay.
Okay. Well, Adrian, thank you so much. It has been really inspiring. Well, you and I have been working and talking together for years now. So I know we're going to talk more and again in the future.
Yeah, but we don't have these kinds of conversations that often.
No, that's why it was really overdue, definitely.
Well, thank you.
Before we wrap it all up, if people want to get in touch with you, where they can reach out?
AdrianLeeds.com.
Okay, so your website
I mean, it's very
directly.
easy. Adrian Leeds, except that it's Adrian,
Yes.
like a man. Okay? Yes.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for watching, all of you. So if you want to get in touch with Adrienne, which we highly recommend, she's available on a website. She's been around for decades, so definitely worth checking out.
Around for decades.
Yeah,
Oh.
and yet to come. Yeah.
Thank you, Fabienne.
Thank you, Adrienne. See you soon.